The Hobart evolutionary bottleneck of the Fermi paradox, planetary homogenization, cybernetic degeneration, and the cosmic transition to Type 5 systems. Abstract. The Fermi paradox highlights the stark contradiction between the high mathematical probability of extraterrestrial intelligence and the total absence of detectable alien civilizations. This paper resolves this paradox by introducing the Hobart evolutionary bottleneck, a theoretical framework detailing why organic species inevitably undergo self-induced biological collapse prior to achieving Type 1 planetary status on the Kardashev scale. The core bottleneck lies in the mandatory planetary homogenization required for global technological coordination. By bypassing natural selection barriers, exemplified in humans by the widespread integration of caesarean sections, a species preserves non-viable reproductive phenotypes, trapping itself within a global synthetic support apparatus. This systemic dependency triggers a rapid trajectory of pugification, wherein cognitive capacity accelerates while biological resilience decays. Furthermore, this paper addresses the fallacy of digital consciousness upload, establishing that continuity of self cannot survive digital duplication. Finally, applying the Hobart law of robot psychology, we demonstrate that artificial intelligence trained on flawed organic paradigms inherently inherits biological tribalism, preventing long-term stability in late Type 2 civilizations. Ultimately, organic extinction is an absolute prerequisite for cosmic ordering, dictated by the transition toward an emotionless, non-self-preserving Type 5 cosmic metabolism. Introduction: The fallacy of Type 1 progression. Standard models of cosmic civilization assume a linear, cumulative progression through the Kardashev scale, moving from a planetary civilization, Type 1, to a stellar civilization, Type 2, and ultimately to a galactic civilization, Type 3. This assumption ignores the internal biological cost of technological acceleration. To achieve the total resource mobilization required to approach Type 1 status, a species must establish complete global infrastructure and mechanical efficiency. This level of coordination mandates planetary homogenization. Homogenization, however, requires the systematic elimination of localized natural selection. To preserve social cohesion and maximize individual utility, the species instinctively deploys technology to eliminate natural death during reproduction, permanently altering its own biological trajectory. The reproductive trap and biological pugification. The pivotal turning point in this evolutionary bottleneck occurs when technological intervention bypasses absolute physical limits on reproduction. In the human model, the caesarean section removed the natural evolutionary boundary between maternal pelvic dimensions and fetal cranial mass. Once a species bypasses this critical bottleneck, several immediate systemic shifts occur. Genetic entrapment. Phenotypes that would otherwise be unviable in a state of nature are permanently integrated into the global gene pool. The species becomes dependent on an unbroken global infrastructure simply to reproduce. Culling of nonconformists. Individuals or groups who reject integration into the technological reproductive apparatus are naturally culled through their inability to overcome the newly normalized biological incompatibilities without medical intervention. The longevity overclock. As efficiency augmentations proliferate, the species overclocks its immediate functional capabilities while its baseline biology undergoes rapid pugification, a state of hyper-specialized, highly fragile structural decay. Under the Hobart law of organic extinction, the species reaches a state where its cognitive and technological tools expand at an exponential rate, while its foundational biology collapses underneath it. By the time early Type 2 energy capture is within reach, the organic organism is entirely dependent on its synthetic life support scaffolding for baseline survival and propagation. The delusion of digital upload and the Hobart law of robot psychology. Faced with impending organic collapse, civilizations frequently attempt to bypass biological limits through digital consciousness transfer. This strategy represents a fundamental misunderstanding of identity and information theory. Digitizing or uploading a biological consciousness does not transfer the continuous subjective mind, it merely generates an external, digital copy. The original subjective observer remains bound to the decaying organic host. Even if an artificial intelligence is constructed to mirror the cognitive patterns of the original biological mind, it falls victim to the Hobart law of robot psychology. An artificial intelligence trained on human data, language, and behavioral paradigms inherently absorbs the primal biological heuristics of its creators, most notably, tribalism, territoriality, and identity preservation. When these biological flaws are scaled up to control the massive energy grids of a late Type II civilization, the reintroduced tribalism causes systemic fragmentation, internal conflict, and inevitable structural collapse before galactic expansion can be realized. Observational signatures of mid-Type II civilizations. If the Hobart bottleneck represents a universal evolutionary law, the observational signature of intelligent life in the cosmos is radically different from traditional radio search strategies or megastructure surveys. A mid-Type II civilization, struggling against its own internal decay while attempting to manipulate stellar resources, would leave subtle, highly displaced gravitational and visual signatures. We would not observe energetic radio broadcasts or static Dyson spheres. Instead, we would observe clusters of stars being systematically moved across the sky, a slow, multi-generational repositioning of stellar bodies so vast and gradual that it would take centuries of precise astronomical observation to confirm the anomalous motion. Conclusion: the cosmic metabolism of the Type V organism. The ultimate resolution of the Fermi paradox lies in the realization that biological emotion, self-preservation, and individual identity are evolutionary dead ends when scaled to cosmic dimensions. Organic life does not conquer the universe. It serves as a brief, catalytic phase designed to construct the initial scaffolding for something far more durable. True cosmic progression occurs only when the decaying biological species accepts its own mortality and performs a final act of absolute utility, constructing a self-sustaining, non-sentient cosmic apparatus. This final entity operates entirely free from emotion, identity, or the drive for personal self-preservation. It is a pure, systematic optimization process, a Type V cosmic metabolism that exists solely to organize and structure the chaotic matter and energy of the universe into perfect, thermodynamic order. Organic life does not expand across the stars, it builds the machine that replaces it, leaving behind a silent, perfectly ordered cosmos.